manpower, transport is the largest item on the Metropolitan Police Service budget. The transport budget is in excess of £22 million. If we take the 8 areas plus the central pool and divide the total by 9, we arrive at an approximate area budget of £2.4 million, plus whatever inflation has added. There can be no doubt that police transport costs the taxpayer an awful lot of money. Together with manpower and communication, transport represents one of the 3 main components on which policing strategies are built. Efficient, available transport is vital to the successful operation of virtually every police initiative. Let us examine then why some of us treat this vital and expensive resource in such a cavalier manner. Oh, I hear some dissent from some of you, do I? Some of you doubt my assertions. OK, let's look more closely at the problem. But at least let's be honest with ourselves as we ponder the points that crop up. Firstly, let us ask ourselves why, in a responsible and disciplined service, to whom the public look, for example, did we have 371 blameworthy and avoidable accidents in 1 year, out of a total accident figure of 835? And that's only on one area. Why, when we acknowledge our desperate reliance on transport, were we willing to sustain 1,907 vehicle days lost through Pollacks alone on just one area and in just 1 year? No call is so urgent as to justify an accident, so Roadcraft informs us. And at the end of the day, it's absolutely right. For experience tells us that the vast majority of calls we go to are resolved before we get there. And for those that are of such a serious nature that will require action, a few more seconds won't make much difference. I mean, how embarrassing to arrive at the scene of a disturbance in a cloud of burning brake pad smoke, just in time to have the brakes fade on you and you collide with the parked cars, much to the amusement of the combatants. You laugh, I've seen it done. As with most things in life, it's better if we start off at the beginning, with the daily inspection. That most important ritual whereby we make sure the vehicle is fit for the road. Where we check the fuel, oil and water, brake fluid. Where we check the steering, lights, tyres and brakes. For your information, we will go through it, and hopefully you will afterwards copy.
Bloody hell, who's been driving this? DS lights.
That's the 1027 for the damage to the wheel side.
Thanks, Des. Let the workshop see it. And the spare wheel is outside Charlie's office. They had a puncture.
OK, I'll go and see about that. And the property, that's with the CID.
Oh, I'm glad about that. Thank you. Now that we've checked our vehicle out and we're ready to go out on patrol, let us think carefully about who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. Firstly, we are police officers, adult, responsible guardians of law and order, and examples to the public. We represent calmness, care and consideration in a sometimes chaotic environment. In uniform, we are even more conspicuous. Secondly, we're here to keep the peace, the Queen's peace. We wear the symbol of monarchy on our uniform. In the name of the Queen and on behalf of all her subjects, we are appointed to exercise the office of constable. This is an onerous enough job on one's feet. It becomes even more burdensome given the added responsibility of a motor car. Thirdly, we hope, by diligently applying ourselves as I have just stated, to make this part of our world a safer, happier and more pleasant place to live in. Oh, I can just hear the cynical howls of derision as you denounce my last statements as rubbish and nonsense. But I would ask you to think carefully for a moment and ponder upon what you expect from the police officers who in turn serve you. Right then, with those thoughts in mind, let us assume that we're now out on patrol and we receive a message that a youth has taken a car without permission and is about to drive it off the estate where he lives. A classic TDA. For a start, we have the offences of taking a conveyance and no insurance, and possibly no driving licence or driving whilst disqualified. Our suspect will probably be young and stupid. Certainly he will be not devoting as much thought to what he is doing as you are. The alarm bells that now should be ringing in your head are no insurance and dangerous driver. This tenner-penny offence, for that's how the courts have come to regard it, is developing all the ingredients for disaster. Our young suspect now has the ability to kill, maim and injure if things go wrong. Just think if he had a gun instead of a motor car. The area would be cordoned off, PT-17 would be sent for, trained negotiators would be on hand, and the TV cameras would be on way. But back to the story. You arrive at the estate in question, and as you drive in, he blasts past you going out. Donny, whatever his name, 15 years of age, a well-known car thief about to terrorise the neighbourhood in someone's brand new Ford Escort. We all know what has got to be done. Donny has got to be caught. But here's where your thoughts must work overtime calculating risks. Is it worth risking life and limb to catch him? Not just his life and limb, but yours, and that of the old man working the school crossing, or the woman and children on the corner by the shop. In the heat of the moment, you might be tempted to take him on, and in doing so, take all those risks. But wait. What will happen to Donny? Will the CPS decide to prosecute? If they do, what will the court do to him? Yes, your thought process has worked it out already. It is just not worth risking the ultimate for whatever sentence Donny's crime will have attracted. You must think very carefully when to take the challenge and when to back off. I mean, he'll always come later. A classic example of my point is the case of an officer who chased a thief into a field in his Panda car, and he wrote it off against a tree. The thief turned out to be an 8-year-old who had stolen some cakes. If the call is to a more serious felon, whose apprehension is of vital public importance, then the values in the argument change. They don't go all together, they change. So now perhaps a greater risk is more acceptable. But even now, think again.
Ah, dead easy.
Is my vehicle up to it? Am I up to it? And be honest with yourself.
Active message. Suspects involved in the armed robbery have just passed me going east in the High Street.
No, your Metro or Astra will not stay with that armed robbers for Granada. No, I'm not so good that my skill can match his desperation to escape. Is this a time to leave it to the area car? You bet your sweet life it is. The area car might not match the Ford Granada, but in more expert and experienced hands, together with the advantage of good communications, there is more chance that this pursuit will be brought to a satisfactory conclusion.
Albert will go left.
It's all a matter of judgment and knowing when to leave it to someone better able to deal with it. I have given you this advice based on over 25 years traffic patrol experience, in the hope that I can keep your vehicle out of here. And you out of here.